When the word math is mentioned, many think of the basic numbers and equations at first. But math is so much more than that. Mathematics is a way of thinking, a method of problem solving and explaining arguments, a foundation upon which modern society is built, a structure nature is partnered by. Math is everywhere. Looking back on the history of math, evidence of complex mathematics dates back to about 3000 BC, when Babylonians and Egyptians began using arithmetic, algebra, and geometry for financial calculations, for building and construction, and for astronomy. Not only was math critical thousands of years ago, but mathematics is still very important in modern society today. According to the Ontario Ministry of Education, the study of mathematics equips students with knowledge and skills and habits of the mind that are essential for successful and rewarding participation in today's society. So now the question is, what is the best way to teach mathematics? The best teaching practices for mathematics is a highly controversial topic with no real concrete answer. Of course, teachers will sometimes disagree on what they believe the best teaching method is for a certain topic, but in terms of math, there are two distinct ideas. One way about the best idea to teach math is using old school methods to lecture kids with a drill and kill format. This teaching style is essentially a direct instruction, where students are shown a standard way to solve a certain math equation, and the students practice it over and over until they know it inside and out. On the other end of the spectrum is the new emerging group, which believes the best way to teach math is a more creative approach, in order to keep the students engaged. This 21st century approach is a more student-centered approach, which emphasizes on conceptual understanding and problem-solving skills. But what about students that come from different countries and learn math in a completely different way from Western culture? Would they be considered correct or incorrect according to our math standard? Even if the final answer is correct, if the work does not conform to the way it's supposed to be done, the students may not get full credit, especially when it comes to standardized testing. For example, this map shows how different countries separate their decimals. The countries in blue use a dot, whereas the countries in green use a comma. The countries in red use a different character than the blue and green countries, and the gray countries have no official standard. To make things more confusing, some countries use a mix of commas and dots, depending on the situation. In European countries, as well as South American, long division is taught differently. The long divider symbol is a different orientation, and the quotient, dividend, and divisor are located in different places. Many students struggle with learning math one way, and then having to transfer that knowledge to the way Western culture divides. In India, Vedic mathematics is taught, which is a collection of techniques to solve mathematical arithmetic in easy and fast ways. As a teacher, I would like to learn how this math is done, as it is quite different from the way I learned math. If I had a student in my class who learned math in this way, I would struggle with incorporating it into a lesson in order to accommodate. In Asia, one-way multiplication is solved is using parallel lines. Again, this is a different method that is not in the Ontario curriculum. In this example, 16 is being multiplied by 24. Parallel and perpendicular lines are drawn for the numbers, and the intersection points are counted in order to find the final answer. Overall, it can be concluded that math is not a universal language, and having a multicultural classroom can pose some challenges when teaching mathematics. As a teacher, I would be unsure of how to approach this. If a student learned math in a different way than I am teaching it, it doesn't necessarily mean it's wrong, but as a teacher, I have to be able to learn that method in order to mark it. This would be especially challenging with an ELL student. If they learned math in a foreign country, they might be getting the final answer right, but they may not be able to explain how they got those answers if their proficiency in English is low. And if the teacher is not familiar with or doesn't understand the process to find those answers, they may not be willing to give full credit for the student's work. Being able to demonstrate an understanding of procedures used to obtain the correct answer to problems is an integral part of Western culture's math. If the work doesn't conform to the way it's supposed to be done, students may not get full credits even if the answer is correct. This is especially important to keep in mind during standardized testing season. As a result, ELLs have to be able to show their work and describe how they obtain their solution to problems. In cases where the student is able to explain their work and teach the teachers how it's done, then the students are learning how to use the language of math and English, and the teachers are expanding their cultural knowledge, and the result is that everyone benefits. A study done at a university in Singapore showed that students who are given a problem to solve on their own before instruction from a teacher outperform students who are given the traditional lecture style. In fact, this is a common teaching practice for teachers to present a problem at the start of class, not only as a hook, but for them to further develop their problem-solving skills. You will also have diversity in the math classroom in terms of students' motivation and readiness to participate and complete the assigned tasks. You will have some students that enjoy math and are interested in learning the material, and you'll have other students who are there because they have to be, and all they want is a credit to graduate. So what's the best way to teach a class with ability and readiness diversity? One way to approach this is using a variety of math problems to relate to students' interest. For example, word problems can relate to baking, cars, sports, or music, depending on the students in your class. You can also expose them to a diverse population of mathematicians. Instead of just talking about white male mathematicians, talk about a diverse population to help your students better relate. An important teaching tip in not just math but any subject is to encourage your students to embrace a growth mindset. Students all come from diverse backgrounds and learn in different ways, but studies have shown that an individual's mindset regarding intelligence can influence academic motivation and performance. Remind students that mistakes are an essential part of learning and growth. In conclusion, there is not one best way to teach mathematics. Every classroom has diversity among the students, whether it's cultural, motivational, or interest, and accommodating all students is quite challenging. Statistics have shown that math marks have been declining in Canada over the past several years, which clearly suggests more research needs to be done on effective ways to teach math.